Okay, so I've got a request from a customer to take this old Bridgestone MB2 and spread the rear triangle from 126 to 135. He'd like to put a modern mountain bike hub in it, and I just wanted to show you what I do. So here's what I call the bells, since they're, I don't know, they remind me of bells. And put these in here, and I'm just going to check that the dropouts are, just check out the alignment to see if they're aligned at all. And right off the bat, it looks like they're not. This one is a little bit crooked on the left side. So I'm going to make those parallel. Okay, that's looking better. So now I'm going to do the spreading of the triangle. First, I'm going to use this alignment gauge to make sure that the dropouts are the same distance from center. So if they're not, you might have to move one dropout out further than the other. So I like to just start by seeing where it's at. Now I'm going to measure the other side to see if it's the same distance from center. And it is. So the frame is pretty centered as is. So we're going to go from 135 or from 126 millimeters between the insides of the dropouts to 135. And depending on how this feels, sometimes the stays can be pretty stubborn, and sometimes it's a better idea to not go all the way to 135 and do what some old Surly frames do, and they go to 132.5, and that way you can use either a road hub or a mountain hub, a 130 hub or a 135 hub, and it'll work just fine with either hub. So that means you have to go 4.5 millimeters out. So I'm going to take this here. Let's see, where's my calipers? It's good to have your digital calipers around. Here we go. So got 4.5 on here. See if I can get a better angle this way. Okay, so right there. What this tool does is it draws a straight line from the head tube to the seat tube, and then you can dial in the distance of this blue caliper. So you can set the distance from the dropout, and what this does is allows you to mirror that same distance on the opposite side, and the idea is to get them to be equidistant from center. So if it's 130 millimeter dropout, you want them both 65 millimeters from the center. In this case, we would need to get to 65.5 centimeters from center. So I'm going to go out, try to get out 4.5 millimeters, and I think that's super doable. So for that, I need a different tool. Let's set this thing down. For this, I use this tool. I'm not going to worry too much about the paint on here because it is super chipped up everywhere. This is wood, it doesn't scar the bike. I could, if it's a nicer bike, I lay a lot more like rags down, but in this case, I've been using this block for over a decade. It's like I've refined it so it just kind of works in any steel frame. It's basically 3 2x4s, but I stack them together like that, and then just have a big long lever to spread it. And also I have to kind of sculpt out the corners of this 2x4 so that it fits between the opposite side chain and seat stays. Now I'm grabbing the head tube with my arm, and I'm actually pushing with my chest or my inside of my ribs against the flat of this the long 2x4, and just give it a good pull. I'm pulling the head tube towards my chest and pushing it, the 2x4 that direction. So I felt that give a little. Now I'm going to check to see how far I've gone. This frame felt like it moved really easily. I kind of nailed it right here. It's actually about 5 millimeters, so I'm going to go back just a hair. Now I'm going to just dial it in a bit. Okay, so that's pretty awesome. Now we just gotta do the same thing to the other side. Except this time, you can see how the 2x4 right here is sculpted out so it fits between the stays. The broad part of the 2x4 is resting on the seat tube, and now it's the opposite. I'm just gonna pull with my arm. I got my crook of my arm here on the 2x4, and I'm pushing with my chest on the head tube. Yeah, this whole frame's moving super easily. Totally not something to worry about. Yeah, and bam, it's like right on. 4.5 millimeters there. This one looks like I didn't get quite back far enough. I'm trying to move it real gentle so I don't go too far. And now I got to test it out with a 135 hub. That went in just fine. Really no struggle whatsoever here. The thing about a lot of old vintage frames is they have horizontal dropouts, so the centering of it could be influenced by how well the dropouts were welded, how well the alignment and the jigs were when they made it. But this one actually doesn't have any set screws or little screws that allow you to align the wheel, but looks pretty good. So all I'm gonna do now is put the bells back on. Let's see, what did I do with them? And just make sure that the dropouts are looking parallel. Theoretically, they shouldn't be parallel after spreading the frame like that. So, but sometimes it's such a small movement that nothing really happens. But we'll see here. Yeah, so actually the gap is a little bit down here right now, so I'm gonna give it a little nudge. I'm gonna do this though. Try to get it so where you can see what I'm doing. And okay, so now back to where I was. And there you go. Dropouts are parallel pretty much all the way around. Try that wheel out one more time. And it's really important to get these dropouts aligned again. Whether you're spreading your triangle or not. Only because if you don't, I swear it's going to wreck your bearings a lot sooner. Because you'll put pressure on the cones to twist, and you know, cones have to be pretty precisely adjusted, as you probably know from if you've ever tried to adjust a hub like a cup and cone bearing, and even cartridge bearings. They don't really design a lot of room for error in those. Everything's got to be perfectly aligned. And if you don't, that actually leads to a lot of premature bearing wear, and sometimes you blame the bearings, but you can have really good bearings and still screw them up just by having or having the dropouts not be in parallel planes. So this hub's kind of loose, but it's a 135 hub, totally slips in and out easily. There you go. So that's how you spread a rear triangle.